This is Jessica Briscoe, and the topic I chose to research was flipping the classroom. So what does the term flipping the classroom mean? Do the students stand on their heads or hang upside down so that the increased blood flow to the brain helps them learn? Or is it when a troublemaker like Bart Simpson disrupts the classroom? Think back to the way most classes you've attended in the past were taught. You went to class and the teacher provided handouts and gave a lecture over the textbook. Then you were given an assignment to complete after class. You were expected to master the subject matter on your own time through analysis and evaluation. The learning objectives for this lesson will be to define the term flipping or inverting the classroom, to identify the goal of flipping the classroom, to recognize the contributions to the model of the flipped classroom, to identify challenges of the flipped classroom, and to identify benefits of the flipped classroom. As a side note, the term flipping is normally reserved when describing primary and secondary education, whereas inverting is the term used when discussing higher education. But for the purpose of this lesson, we will use the terms interchangeably. Flipping the classroom is the process of providing the information that would normally be supplied during a lecture to students before they come to class, and then using classroom time to expand on that information. This information could be in the form of handouts, assigned reading in the textbook corresponding to the course, or, as is often the case now, direction to websites to read content, listen to podcasts, and most frequently to watch video presentations. Instead of sitting in a classroom, listening to a live lecture by the teacher, and then receiving an assignment to work on at home, the students are expected to read, listen, or view the materials on their own time before class, and then come to class ready to integrate that knowledge by asking questions about the information they didn't quite understand, discussing differing points of view with their classmates, or doing hands-on experiments or labs. Now that you know the definition of a flipped or inverted classroom, surely you recognize its use in this bachelor's program with Professor Young. And you may recognize this image from Professor Young's PowerPoint on using active learning in the classroom. It's widely believed that the idea of the flipped classroom owes its start to a 1993 article by Allison King titled "From Sage on the Stage to Guide on the Side." In this article, King notes that while it's still the responsibility of the professor or teacher to present the material, it's also important that the professor guide the students' interaction with the material. King points out that students in the 21st century are expected to solve complex problems through knowledge of the material, not just memorize and regurgitate information. The goal of flipping the classroom is to move from passive learning to active, higher-level learning. It's a shift from the teacher standing in front of the class teaching what they plan to teach, commonly referred to as chalk and talk, to the students learning what they want and need to learn. It shifts the focus from the teacher to the material being presented. If you'll think back to Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive learning, learning starts with knowledge, then moves to comprehension, and then application. As learning moves up the hierarchy, it goes to the more advanced levels of analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. On the left side of this image of Bloom's taxonomy, you'll see the traditional classroom approach uses the three lower levels for in-class passive learning time, and the three higher levels are expected of the students to work through on their own. As you'll see on the right side of this image, the levels are basically flipped, with the three lower levels applied as students view the materials on their own before class. Then, the professor uses in-class time to guide the students through the higher order thinking with active learning. The biggest contributor to the flipped classroom is Salman Khan. In 2004, he started recording videos for his younger cousin that he was tutoring, as she found it helpful to go back and watch the videos again to fully understand the concepts he was teaching. This is an important benefit of a flipped classroom model. The student can re-watch or reread the material as often as is needed to comprehend the information being presented. Khan started the Khan Academy in 2006, which offers content through short lectures on YouTube videos. Now, anyone of any age with internet access can watch free educational lectures and videos for almost any subject on their own time by going to the Khan Academy website. A few problems that may be encountered may be the student not having access to the internet or not having enough time or motivation to view the materials. Professors may help the student overcome access problems by allowing more time in the computer lab or by burning the material onto a disk, which the student could then watch through their computer or TV. The second issue of time or motivation would require some other motivational strategies, obviously. 2 high school teachers in Colorado, Jonathan Bergman and Aaron Sams, are credited as driving forces in this movement with their flipped high school classroom model in 2007. They often use a joke in the first minute of content to keep the students' interest. They also keep videos short and on point, being respectful of their students' time, because it's well known that students' attention decreases after 10 minutes and they only remember 20% of a lecture. At Clintondale High School in Detroit, 50% of ninth graders were failing the core subjects of math, English, and science. Principal Greg Green also coached his son's baseball team, and he started recording instructional videos for the players to watch. He was impressed with how much their skill level improved. He decided to flip the whole school. 3 years later, ACT scores and GPAs improved, and their graduation rate soared to 90%. Studies show that for all levels of education, the flipped classroom results in higher attendance, significantly higher exam scores, higher graduation rates, and increased student satisfaction with the course overall. The main benefit of flipping the classroom is that the student can take control of their education. They can choose how quickly and thoroughly they learn a subject. This is especially important in a healthcare field such as dental hygiene, due to the more complex issues we face as dental hygienists, such as integrating dentistry with healthcare. Hygienists are expected to be critical thinkers and must use evidence-based decision-making in regards to patient care. If dental hygiene students covered the information and materials on their own time prior to class, they would have more time to role play and evaluate case studies in class, which would ultimately strengthen their ability to problem solve once they are in practice. This supports the constructivism theory of learning by adding meaning to knowledge. It will be our job as educators to give our dental hygiene students the tools to become critical thinkers, and flipping the classroom can do just that. As guest lecturer Heather Taylor reminded us, we need to constantly research to advance our profession. I invite you to learn more about flipping or inverting the classroom as you prepare your future lesson plans by clicking on the following links to read and watch videos. Thank you for your time.